Honorable members, welcome from the suspension of sitting, and I've been informed and I have a copy of the report of the Joint Committee on Budget and Finance on the expenditure in advance of appropriation for January to March 2025. And so we'll proceed to item 8C on the order paper, which is for the chairman of the committee to present to the House the report of the committee on this item. So, chairman of the joint committee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that the motion. He says I should.
We are not reached moving yet. You have to present the report. Honorable members, will I take it that this bow is in connection with the whole of item 8C, Roman 1, Roman 2, Roman 3, and Roman 4. Table office. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for your continuous guidance. We learn a lot from you. I was proud to your intervention. I was going to draw the attention of my respected colleague to the fact that he will soon be coming into government. These are things that you will be going through all the time. So you have to learn the rules. When you are supposed to lay a report, you bow. That is the procedure. You bow. But Mr. Speaker will be there to help, and I'll also be there to assist you. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, allow this.
We may not have the pleasure for this today.
Yeah, very well. Mr. Speaker, that's okay.
So we may proceed. Yes, table office.
Report of the Budget Committee on the expenditure in advance of appropriation for January to March 2025. Report of the Budget Committee on the budget estimate for Parliament and the Parliamentary Service for the period January to March 2025. III. Report of the Budget Committee on the budget estimate for the Judiciary and Judicial Service for the period January to March 2025. Report of the Budget Committee on the budget estimate for the Audit Service for the period January to March 2025.
Honorable members, the said reports are, that is 8C, Roman 1 to Roman 4 are laid accordingly and therefore distribution to all members of Parliament. Honorable members, we will not take 8D now. We will not take it. We'll move on to item 9, subject to your pleasure. The chairman of the committee may now move the motion on item 9 at page 3 of the order paper. Yes, Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move motion number 9 on the order paper. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Motion moved and seconded is for the consideration of the House. There is a motion, procedural motion, suspending our orders to enable us move to the substantive motion. So I'll put the question. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. We now move to item 10, the substantive motion, Chairman of Committee.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that this Honorable House adopts the report of the Budget Committee on the expenditure in advance of appropriation for January to March 2025. And in so doing, I proceed to present the committee's report. Mr. Speaker, this is a report by a joint committee on budget and finance on the expenditure in advance of appropriation for January to March 2025. I would, because of time, read only portions of the report and request Hansa to capture the entire report. The advance in advance of appropriation for January to March 2025 was laid in the House today, Thursday, 2nd January 2025, and was subsequently referred to the Joint Committee on Budget and Finance for consideration and report in accordance with Article 180 of the 1992 Constitution and the standing orders of the House. Mr. Speaker, the total amount of expenditure in advance of appropriation, the total amount of money required for government expenditure for the first quarter of 2025 in advance of appropriation is 68,134,674,527 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, I just take a few of our observations and then I conclude. Mr. Speaker, we realize that the committee further observed that projected expenditure in relation to goods and services is 3,123,221,785. Paragraph 5.4, non-interruption of government business. The committee inquired whether the late submission of the expenditure in advance of appropriation would adversely impact on government business. The Minister for Finance, Honorable Amin Adam, assured the committee that despite the late submission, there would be no adverse impact on government business. He explained that although it normally takes a week to load figures onto the GIFMIS, in respect of the 2025 expenditure in advance of appropriation, they would take steps to upload the figures onto the GIFMIS in less than a week in order to ensure that government business is not interrupted. Mr. Speaker, conclusion. The committee respectfully recommends to the House to adopt this report and approve by resolution the sum of 68,134,674,527 Ghana cedis as expenditure in advance of appropriation for the first quarter, for January to March 2025, for the purpose of meeting expenditure necessary to carry on the services of government for the period January to March 2025, in accordance with Article 180 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, the Public Financial Management Act, and the standing orders of the House. Respectfully submitted.
Yes, honorable members, any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion, and just to add two more statements to what my colleague just said. On paragraph 5.3, the committee also noted that government has made available 20,691,523,500 Ghana cedis to make payments for the energy sector levy account, and also to make some payments to the independent power producers. Secondly, liabilities that will fall due, Mr. Speaker, has been catered for with an amount of 1.228 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I believe that this House has supported government to perform this constitutional duty, and we pray that it will go on and ensure that government activities are not interrupted in the first quarter of the year 2025. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, motion is moved and seconded. It's now for the consideration of the House. Honorable members, if you look at our standing orders, I think it's order 200. Order 200. Order 200 guides us as to how to consider this item. And 201 says, where it appears to the President that the Appropriation Act in respect of any financial year will not come into operation by the beginning of the financial year, the President may authorize the withdrawal of monies from the Consolidated Fund to meet the expenditure necessary to carry on the services of government in respect of the period expiring 3 months from the beginning of the financial year, or on the coming into operation of the Act, whichever is earlier. The expenditure, that is 202, the expenditure in advance of appropriation shall be with the prior approval of Parliament, supported by a resolution. Supported by a resolution. And so what has just happened is the adoption of the report of the committee. And so I'll proceed to put a question on that, and then we will now have to do the resolution to make sure that we have granted a prior approval. So I put the question now. Those in support of the adoption of the report of the Joint Committee, say aye. Aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The report is accordingly adopted by the House. We move on to item 11 at page 3 of the order paper. Resolution. Minister for Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopt Resolution 11 on pages 3 and 4 of today's order paper. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
Mr. Speaker, there is a procedural challenge here.
Who called you?
Honorable members, I think my mic had a challenge. And so the honorable member just read my lips and got up to second the adoption of the resolution. So the resolution has been moved and seconded. It's now for the consideration of the House. This being a consequential resolution from the motion, I proceed to put the question. Those in support of the resolution as captured at page 3 and 4 of the order paper, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. Honorable members, the resolution as captured at page 3 and 4 of the order paper is accordingly resolved by the House. We will now proceed to the last item. Yes, I didn't cite you at your seat. That's why I was struggling to identify you. Members will recall Members will recall that earlier today we had to recline into a closed sitting. And in the closed sitting, we authorized a subcommittee to, on our behalf, perform a duty. And so we have to go back into the closed sitting and to hear from the committee what has happened since we gave them the authority to perform a function on our behalf. So please, I will call the House to constitute itself into a closed sitting, and therefore I direct the Marshal Department to proceed to perform the necessary duty as required of them by our standing orders. Closed sitting, please.